Let's get this show on the road.
Should we do it? Hello, I'm Ian.
And I am Sam.
And we welcome you to the latest episode of Such a Ranker. The show is simple. We take 7 completely random movies and try to rank them from best to worst, or worst to best.
Worst to best.
Worst to best. It's going to be the ongoing thing now. Until I update this script, it's going to be the ongoing thing.
We haven't updated it at all.
Right? Well, no, it's still the same original list. I just do all my notes on another sheet, so I kind of work in between the two of them. Anyway. But 7 films, we rank them, worst to best. What have we got on the docket this week, Sam?
We have got, again, this is just in the order, we've got Paranormal Activity 2.
Nice.
One of the more famous mid-2000s found footage films.
Yeah. Prequel to the original movie, charts the path of the demon who possessed the girl from the first movie and why it does what it does. So it's a weird prequel to the original.
I'm looking forward to talking about that, actually. Knives Out.
Yep.
It's Rian Johnson's attempt to bring back the whodunit into the mainstream.
Yeah. Famously, after his run as a Star Wars Helmer.
Yes. I like the way you say that while smiling at me to try and goad me into a reaction this early. I will hold back. I will hold my tongue for later.
No, it's a detective genre. Benoit Blanc is back to investigate the death of a famous crime novelist.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm just going to add in blurbs of what the actual film's about, just here and there.
The Matrix, a film our listeners may have heard of previously. The film that, created a whole genre in itself and has had an incredible legacy since its release more than 25 years ago.
Yep. Take the red pill or the blue pill.
Yeah. I felt like that after watching The Last Jedi.
It's a good job that's not on this list then. Right, so what we got as number 4? For Us.
We have Us.
Yep, so this was the second film from Jordan Peele, his follow-up to Get Out.
The acclaimed Get Out.
Absolutely. So it's basically a story about a family that go to a lake to get away from things, only to be confronted by strangers in the middle of the night.
Yes.
I think this is an interesting one to talk about as well. I think it's just an interesting list this week. I think we've got stuff to come back to on this one. Then after that, we've got The Crow.
The Crow.
1994.
Yes. A very, very interesting film both in the story itself and the production nightmare that unfolded.
Yeah.
But, basically a tragedy on and off the camera.
Yeah. Yep. Then we've got 2002's adaptation.
Charlie Kaufman.
Yep.
Yeah. Would you say Charlie Kaufman is sort of almost going to be an underappreciated part of the podcast? I feel like we'll talk about him in a glowing light as the time goes on.
I have a feeling we're going to talk about him in a glowing light because this is now the second Charlie Kaufman that has joined us on our Such a Ranker lists. Not last week before, I think we had. Eternal Sunshine?
I believe it was episode 2 with Eternal Sunshine.
Eternal Sunshine. And I feel like he will come up a few times. It wouldn't surprise me. For some reason, I've been bitten by the Charlie Kaufman bug, and I do want to kind of revisit a few of his bits and pieces and films that I've missed of his. So, hopefully he's someone we can talk about a lot of. But
he may come up in a Deep Dive 5.
And Deep Dive 5 very soon.
Very soon, yeah.
Yeah.
And then finally, we have possibly the most famous war film ever made, Steven Spielberg's Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think some people would probably look at our list this week and go, it's kind of a foregone conclusion, but I'm not sure.
I don't think so. No. Not overwhelmingly. I would say this is possibly the first time where there's no overwhelming loser.
Oh, there is an overwhelming loser.
I quite like Paranormal Activity 2.
No.
Should we start with Paranormal Activity 2?
Let's start with Paranormal Activity 2. So as we said, it is the sequel to the original, but its premise is prequel.
Yes.
It kind of it does the thing that Hollywood does and tries to justify it and give motive to the demonic presence in the first film.
Yeah.
Which I'm not sure. I think that's one of my biggest problems with it. Is that it doesn't just exist in a vacuum. It exists to justify the first film. And you immediately going, oh, great. Like, to be fair, it did a good job in the marketing and stuff to hide the connection to the original film. Like, when it first came out, like, it was quite surprising to see the girl from the first Paranormal Activity to turn up in the second one. But my biggest issues, aside from that, is obviously the first film was made for literally like 10 grand and made 100 million at the box office.
Incredible
Insane box office success story. So they were obviously going to make a sequel. And I think that also feels to me is what kind of hinders it. It's a crowbarred in sequel because they know that they can. I mean, even this I think was made for about 4 million, if that.
It was made for 3 million and made a return of $177 million.
So the Paranormal Activity series must be one of the most lucrative series of all time. Like,
people just
it
love
made so much money.
They love they just love that sort of, because it wasn't a new concept, found footage, because obviously we had the Blair Witch Project, but I think it found its place in the mid to late 2000s, and I think that was probably found footage's prime. I would say the best found footage film is Wreck, which, if our listeners haven't watched that,
original Wreck,
the Spanish Wreck, it's absolutely amazing and perfectly does everything that you want from a found footage film.
Yeah.
Now this one, I'm not saying it's particularly good, but I think this and the first one, when you watch it and you know nothing about it, it does sort of stick with you.
Yeah, I think so. What I would say about this one, I'm not sure if it's the same guy who did the first one. Is it same director, same writers? Or I imagine the studio probably took over at that point. If it is, I'm about to say something.
No, it's someone different.
So whoever took over from Paranormal Activity, I think there is an argument that they are quite horror literate. I think they were clearly shackled into having to do a Paranormal Activity clone, in as much as, you know, there's a lot of kind of static shots of rooms and then something happens in the background that makes you question whether or not it happened or not, you know, and then they'll have the big reveal. But for me, where I say it's horror literate is it falls back more onto the paedophobia side of things. It understands that actually the next step of this isn't just the haunting. You have to involve a kid. And I think, like, if you track the horror over like the last 50 or 60 years, there's been phases of that. You know, when you look at things like The Exorcist, when you look at Children of the Corn, you look at like real tentpole, this kid was a murderer. Even like Halloween, the first scene of Halloween is a kid murdering someone. So that element of, like, I think it's paedophobia, I think it's like the fear of kids, has been woven into Paranormal Activity 2 in a way that I don't hate.
Okay.
I like that idea. But I do think the other stuff for me hinders it massively. For
you, are you overwhelming in your opinion this is bottom of this episode of such a ranker?
So, yeah. I can't see Knives Out, The Matrix, Us, The Crow adaptation, Saving Private Ryan. I can't see really anything being worse than Paranormal Activity 2.
Well, it is currently top, so we have its due that currently it's leading the list.
One of the funniest things that I've seen about Paranormal Activity 2 is I watched like a retrospect video about this in prep for chatting about it today. And one of the funniest things that I saw was a guy who basically said the demon in Paranormal Activity 2 just had a blood feud with the pool cleaning robot, because every single time the pool cleaning robot every day is thrown into the pool. And it's basically the demon every night going outside and being like, "What the hell are you doing in my pool?" And it's a retaliation to the pool cleaner being like, the pool cleaner robot being chucked into the pool. And it's actually, yeah, I appreciate that. That made me laugh.
Yeah, isn't that kind of a similar premise to Us? You know, it's kind of like this weird, just like small revenge story.
Yeah, pretty much.
Involving just a slight replacement.
Yeah.
Which
The problem
has
is
horrible
it just took a
consequences
complete edge
for
off of the demon in the first Paranormal Activity, or the second Paranormal Activity. And then I was like, well, okay.
Shall we discuss Us?
Let's talk about Us.
Yes. Yeah, so the follow-up to Get Out, which
is not a sequel in any way, shape, or form.
It's not a sequel, no.
But everyone thought it was going to be a sequel.
Yeah. Get Out, I think, ages incredibly well every year, which I think it will be considered probably in many people's views, the standout horror of the 2010s.
Yep.
I can only really think of stuff like Hereditary that might even
come close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think Us is an interesting film more than it's good. And I think it has a lot of good ideas, but it does kind of falter in the last act. The intrigue is there. He does a very good job of building suspense we're very intrigued by what's going on, particularly with the lead. But I do think it falls a bit flat by the end. But it's got very ambitious ideas.
Yeah. I quite like it. I think for me, there's lots of different meanings that people can take from it, but I do think the art of Jordan Peele is that he creates something that people take their own meaning from. For me, I've always seen it as almost like how do you deal with an existential crisis type thing. So like, it's that whole idea of like facing past versions of yourself, like dealing with who you were as a kid, dealing with who you were as a teenager, and so on and so forth. And it's that element of then having to deal with that. And I think that's kind of the meaning that I took from it more than anything else. I know there's stuff about like Hands Across America movement and stuff like that us in the UK wouldn't necessarily be too au fait with. But I think that's the beauty again of what Peele does, is that he creates something that you can kind of append your own meaning to. And that's how I've always viewed it. And I think because of that, it really kind of heightens the performances. So I personally think Lupita Nyong'o in this is absolutely extraordinary. She's not just extraordinary as the lead character, but she's also extraordinary as the tethered version of herself. It's such a physical performance that she like somehow manages to like unbuckle like parts of her body and she just carries herself differently. And she has arguably a Christian Bale Batman voice going on in it, which is like a little bit weird, but it's creepy and it's kind of what you want. And I'm a big fan of Winston Duke. I see like a really good everyman on screen with him, and he plays that really well.
Really good, sort of like believable family performance.
Yeah, and I think that's
from from both families.
From both, and actually, I genuinely think that's where a lot of the strength in the first two films go really well. Jordan Peele has said one of his influences for this is Funny Games. Have you ever seen Funny Games? That's one of the influences. So like that whole family like dynamic of like strangers turning up at the house and stuff like that. You can see where that influence has obviously really had a influence on us. I don't mind. I think you're right. I think like the third act is kind of not its strongest in the world, and I think it just I think it loses itself a little bit.
I think it loses itself in its ideas more than the reality of what we have seen on camera so far.
But I do think the twist saves it. I think the twist is really inventive. I think it's interesting. It subverts your expectations.
True. I wouldn't say it was overwhelmingly surprising.
But would you say you saw it coming?
God, it's just so long ago since I saw it. Like at the cinema, I mean, for the first time. I think so.
I definitely. I don't think I saw it coming. I think I saw it coming, obviously, when they start to reveal it, but I wouldn't have thought that's where the story would have gone.
Yeah.
Like, I liked the idea of, like, a human... We spoke about this just off before we started recording. There's an element with Jordan Peele stuff where I feel like all of his... structurally, all of his movies are based like a Twilight Zone episode, because he famously resurrected Twilight Zone a few years ago for TV. And so when you then retrospectively look at his work, you can kind of see the influence again of where Twilight Zone is and how much he loves horror. And so with something like this, I kind of expected him to go almost like nuclear waste has created copies of everyone. And like I remember as I was watching it the first time around, there was elements where I was like, oh, this is a consumer. This is a capitalism. This is all about capitalism. This is about like how there is a version of you that you've that capitalism has let die, but it's kind of formed itself underneath like a burial ground or something like that. And then that's how then these abominations have been created, essentially, or these duplicates or whatever, the tethered. And that's how I kind of originally started seeing it going. So I think I was really surprised with the twist, where I was like, oh, actually, that's quite novel, because it also lends itself to the biggest discussion point of the film is with the son. What happens to the son? And that is the lingering point that most horror films need, is like it goes on further than.
Yes.
You know? And I think that was done really well.
Yes. Do you like Nope, don't you?
I really like Nope, yeah.
Yeah.
I genuinely had like an existential moment in Nope.
Yeah, I like his ambition, but I think Get Out is still by far his most interesting and impactful film.
Yeah.
But I like, you need people like him to tell stories that are sort of outside of the norm, I suppose.
Yeah.
Because they are all intriguing ideas. I just think the execution, particularly with Us and Nope, is a bit hit and miss.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'd be very interesting to see which direction he goes down in the future.
Definitely. Speaking about unusual premise for movies and stuff like that, let's talk about 1994's The Crow.
The Crow.
Yeah.
Yes. Should we talk about the film itself first, or
The
story behind it?
Obviously, the story behind it. So, The Crow from 1994 is famously Brandon Lee's
son of Bruce Lee.
Son of Bruce Lee, Brandon Lee's what you could arguably say was his breakout role, but it was also, unfortunately, the role that led to his death.
Yes.
So, in a prop gun was accidentally loaded with real bullets during one of the final scenes of the movie. The gun went off during one of the scenes and it killed Brandon Lee.
Yeah.
The film would then be kind of thrown into disarray, whereas they looked to try and see if they would scrap it or keep it going, and Brandon Lee's son would eventually then end up standing in for some of the final scenes that needed to be shot.
Yeah, it's had renewed interest, obviously, with the Alec Baldwin gun
the Rust
situation from a
the
couple
Rust
of years ago with
from
Rust,
Rust,
yeah, which has actually just come out.
Yeah,
weirdly.
And there's also been a Crow reboot recently as well.
Yeah, which is not
great.
particularly great. Yeah,
No, you might as well watch The Crow 2 or The Crow 3 or the Kirsten Dunst
well, that's
Crow
an interesting
or
thing
things
because
like that.
The Crow 1994 is completely stands, because that's the thing. You watch these films and you hear about what happened and you think, does this sort of like enhance the viewing of the film? But I think the film is great in itself.
Oh, it's so good, such a good film.
It's like the most depressing film ever, but in the best possible way.
You got to think, in 1994, right? So this was based on a comic book, and it is. And you got to think, before this point, you would have just had, Tim Burton's Batman. You would have had a very light-hearted Superman series of films. You would have had a campy Batman in the 60s. There wouldn't have been a lot of kind of like really gritty comic book movies that came out at that point. And this really kind of...
It's like a grungy...
It lent on that grunge. Yeah. It's a sign of its time. It's like a little kind of throwback to the 90s. It's oddly... I mean, this was 4 years before Blade. But it has a lot of Blade DNA. Like the two... I mean, you could say actually that Blade has a lot of the Crow DNA in it. And it has... It's a really simple story, but it's one that I think a lot of people can get behind. It's like that. It's like that broken, broken protagonist, isn't it?
It's just a very interesting revenge story.
Yeah, and it wasn't afraid to do stuff. It's 18 rated, or it was 18 rated when it first came out. It's brutal. It's pretty violent. The murder scene at the beginning is haunting.
Not for the faint-hearted.
It really doesn't muck around. It just doesn't muck around as a movie, and I must admit, it stands up. Like
that's what I mean.
Rewatching it, it's great.
Yeah,
I think that is the saddest thing about it, though. When you reflect on it with Brandon Lee's death, is this could have been a really interesting platform for him to have started something that is arguably very different to his dad.
Yes, I mean, would you say that there's like Heath Ledger comparisons?
Yeah,
where it's sort of you watch it and you're thinking like what could have River
happened?
Phoenix, where it's like where would his career have gone?
Yeah, I would probably say closer to River Phoenix than Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
I think there's still that like tragedy about it that echoes, I think, with those other actors as well. But I would have said you would have seen probably something more akin to what River Phoenix would have ended up doing, more so than say what Heath Ledger would have ended up doing.
It's amazing they remade this.
I have no idea.
Just leave it alone.
Yeah. Apparently, Alex Proyas came out, and Alex Proyas the director has had a really interesting career after this as well. Really, didn't do really a lot at all. He famously did Gods of Egypt, which kind of ended his career as a director. So, like I think everyone. It kind of felt like it's a real kind of throwback to the time. It's a real kind of time capsule of a movie.
Yeah, if you want to encapsulate like Nirvana-led grunge,
Yeah.
1994 America.
Yeah, and the soundtrack is epic.
The soundtrack is fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll be very interested in where we rate this on the list. Yeah, it could be anything from like top 3 because I mean the rest of the films are pretty positively received.
Yeah. So to be fair, Crow was positively received.
Yeah, but compared to the others, that's
Yeah.
where it sort of gets interesting.
Well, I just think it's an interesting. Was
it episode 3 where we had like a brilliant?
It was
film?
like banger, 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 banger.
Well, yeah, there was like a brilliant film was like rated 3rd or 4th.
Yeah. I think, to be honest, it wouldn't surprise me if we have the same thing here. When you look at this list, but it's an interesting mix of stuff that has aged really well versus stuff that is just iconically good.
Yeah.
All of that, by that I mean that Paranormal Activity 2. You know, like, yeah, I just think it's just a lift. Anyway, we deviate away from our main point.
Yeah.
Knives Out.
Yeah,
Benoit
I know.
Blanc.
Yeah, should
Let's
we
go
talk
Rian
about
Johnson.
this?
Johnson. Even.
Yeah. What's your opinion of Rian Johnson?
I mean, I don't have a problem with him. Like, people I think have a problem with him ever since The Last Jedi. I don't have as much of an issue with The Last Jedi. I thought it had interesting things going for it. So it didn't make me go into Knives Out thinking this is a career defining movie, that this has to be good. And I also don't think I went in there with any distaste. I went in there with like quite open-minded with stuff. And so I realise I'm setting you up now to be that bitter old man that went into a Rian Johnson film and went, nah, it's just crap.
No, because the thing with Rian Johnson is that...
Is it Ryan or Rian?
I think it's Ryan.
Oh, it's Ryan. I've been saying it wrong my whole life then. I've been saying Rian, yeah.
Yeah, it's, listen, I loved Looper. It's still my favourite Rian Johnson film. I remember watching that and then thinking, oh, he's really good. And then it turned out he was going to direct a Star Wars film. And I thought, what a great choice. And then I watched it and I was like, not the best choice. So I went into Knives Out thinking, well, I like Daniel Craig. And who done it? I mean, they haven't really been mainstream for a long time. And Jamie Lee Curtis.
Well, I only pick out Jamie Lee Curtis there because we did another Such a Ranker episode. Well, no, Deep Dive 5 about her a few weeks ago.
Yes. Favourite of the podcast.
But I mean, the
ensemble is great.
It refreshed the conversation around Oscars, around ensemble casts.
So here's the thing: the film has everything set up for it. Set design is great. I don't talk about that enough, but it's really good. You've got really good performances. You've got essentially Christopher Plummer's last big film.
Yep.
Daniel Craig reinvents himself as a very convincing American detective. Is that the best way to describe him?
Yep. Chris Evans,
the
Captain
only
America.
good film he's been in the last 6 years
Snowpiercer.
outside of Marvel.
No, Snowpiercer.
No, in the last 6 years.
Oh, 6 years, okay.
And but as a whodunit and as a comedy, it falls horribly on its arse. It's just forced comedy.
Just couldn't be wrong.
Every film with Rian Johnson, when he's writing it, I know he's chuckling to himself, thinking this would be funny. It just never is. He does it in every film, other than Looper, which I don't think he really injects too much comedy into it. But like every film, it's just like comedy is just so on it. Yeah, like no.
I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I went into Glass Onion. Actually, to be fair, I was disappointed with Glass Onion. Glass Onion wasn't that great. But I really liked Knives Out.
And he has no subtlety at all. He has to make everything so clear and plain to everybody.
But he had to in Knives Out.
Why?
It's a mystery. It's like you have to make things as you step. Each step you take has to be more obvious than the last.
Yeah, but it's just so. It's like you knew within 5 seconds Chris Evans was going to be, the bad man. So it's just not particularly interesting. And if it's not interesting, then it has to be funny. But it's not funny either.
It's more the process of how this stuff was done.
Listen, I don't hate the film. I just think Rian Johnson thinks he's a much better director and writer than he actually is.
Says the bitter old
I'm
Star Wars fan.
I'm not. I'm being mature about this. I mean, yes, he did sort of irreversibly destroy one of the great American film series. But it wasn't just down to him.
No.
But yeah, he was the one who he was the one who threw the grenade into the room.
It could be worse. He could be
worse.
Colin Trevorrow.
Oh God.
Yeah, the lesser.
That's a
about
conversation for
Henry's
another
thing.
time. But
Exactly.
listen, I don't begrudge. I don't begrudge people
seriously
who like
though.
it.
I mean, Knives Out has. You're one of the only people that I know actually who has this like kind of anti-movement towards Knives Out. Like it genuinely is quite well received. I personally think it's probably one of the best crime caper movies since Nice Guys. Like I think
really,
it was you had Nice Guys, and then I think you had this was a. Plug that gap nicely because it didn't. There's not a lot that exists outside of it.
I don't see Nice Guys. It sort of falls more into like Chinatown, like thriller. Like it's. I wouldn't. I don't really put Nice Guys and Nice Guys. You're talking about the Shane Black film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah. It falls more into Agatha Christie and
definitely
Kenneth Branagh films of
Yeah.
like Murder on the Orient Express, and they're just better with like subtlety and like. I don't know how it's supposed to work, where he just has these sort of weird injections of his own weirdness. I mean, Knives Out 2 was just like...
Glass Onion's not great.
But I don't begrudge people who like these films because they have an audience, obviously, and people like them.
Well, Netflix have signed up for every Knives Out sequel is going to be a straight to Netflix jobby. So
Man is stealing a living.
Yeah. No.
But no, I don't, yeah.
Has it got the best sweater of all time in it?
It's not the worst film in this such a ranker.
It's definitely not. No.
But for me personally, I hope it gets, sent down to hell.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway.
Right, let's...
Oh, no, sorry, no. So would you rank this very highly then?
I think, I would have this a lot higher than I think... to be honest, judging by the list, I would rank this highly.
Okay.
Were it not for the rest of the films on said list.
In my head, I'm struggling to what is higher, Us or Knives Out.
Yeah, that's what I'm wrestling with at the moment, if I'm being honest.
But I think we need to talk about one of the great adaptations of all time, a film called Adaptation. Which is basically an adaptation on its own adaptation.
Yeah, this is really interesting. So the premise is essentially screenwriter Charlie Kaufman, so the writer himself has written himself into this.
Played by Nicolas Cage.
He's a screenwriter. He's struggling to adapt The Orchid Thief, which is essentially a story about a guy who basically steals flowers. Which in the film is... Yeah, I'm not wrong. It's literally The Orchid Thief is the flower stealer. So
Tell me, what's Saving Private Ryan about?
I'll explain that one after this one. No, it's essentially it's Charlie Kaufman. It's a story about his struggles trying to adapt a screenplay or adapt a book, which was originally a short film or a short story, into a screenplay, and it's such an unusual adaptation of that because it's a completely original story that comes from it. It's so kind of meta. Meta. It's so meta that it's... We were speaking about this a little bit before. So Charlie Kaufman isn't the first time he's turned up on this Such a Ranker list. We discussed him turning up with Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind a few weeks ago. And I'm really happy that I'm getting a chance to revisit some of his things because originally I kind of felt like I put him on this like pedestal, this... Oh, you can only really like a Charlie Kaufman film if you really like film because he's so deep.
You just didn't understand it, man.
You just didn't get it, man.
Yeah.
And I think I put him on that pedestal and it kind of felt so inaccessible that I'm so happy that I'm getting a chance to revisit this stuff because I'm really actually realising that it's actually far more accessible than I thought it was going to be. It's a lot easier to understand. It's not as trippy. It's not trying to be confusing.
Well, adaptation is, more of his... I don't want to say like normal storytelling, but it doesn't have like the complicated structure of Eternal Sunshine.
But I didn't think Eternal Sunshine, upon reviewing it, I didn't find that massively confusing.
It's more than adaptation.
Yeah, I mean, structurally it's the same. I mean, if you're going to make comparisons to something like Eternal Sunshine, I think it's like an Inception. It's like that whole idea of it's like a world within a fiction type thing. And I think you could arguably say it's a simpler version of that. Adaptation is a simpler story. I just think it's really clever. And I think it's more clever than it is complicated. So by the time you get to the end of it, you go, "Oh, actually, I've actually seen a a dramatic and kind of feasibly complicated story of someone struggling with writer's block, and how writer's block is not overcome, but how this guy wrestles with it. Like, it's really fascinating. Like, and by the time you get to the end of it, and you realise that he's essentially written this as you're watching it, and he's created characters and he's created backstory. But this is also based on something that he himself, as a writer, when writing the book, went through. You kind of go, "Oh, this is really kind of quite clever. And it's wholesome."
It completes the writer's block trilogy of The Shining, Barton Fink, and then this. If you watch all three of those films in one night, then you, my friend, are in writer's block.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or might overcome it.
Would you say this is Nicolas Cage's almost the end of his golden era?
So that is a really interesting question, because it is after, technically, Captain Corelli's Mandolin, which I would say is the end of his golden era.
Okay.
But it's before National Treasure.
Well, that's what I mean. Like National Treasure, this might sound ironic or a hot take, but I feel like that was actually when, even though I think National Treasure was probably one of his biggest box office successes, particularly the first one, I think it was like the beginning of the end of him. Because if you look at his career from leaving Las Vegas until adaptation, I mean, he's got like a very interesting reputation, to say the least. But his run in that time was amazing.
It's a great run.
I mean, it had obviously the greatest film ever made in Face Off.
Yeah,
which we've discussed previously.
Yeah.
And I mean, he did a film with Martin Scorsese that no one talks about.
Yeah.
So much so that I've actually forgotten what it's called.
Is it Primal? No.
It came out in 1999.
Yeah.
It was the Scorsese film before Gangs of New York.
Yeah.
But yeah, a really good performance.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was almost like the beginning of Kaufman's career, and sort of I know Nicolas Cage has sort of come back.
Yeah.
He's doing a lot more interesting films as a supporting character.
Yeah.
But I feel like him as a lead, I think this was the last real big one.
So what was the one that they did where Nicolas Cage was basically playing himself, who went to go and see Pedro Pascal?
Oh, The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent.
So that would almost work as quite a good two-hander with adaptation.
Well,
it's that whole. Aspect. It's so meta.
Yeah.
That it's actually, in a way, it's kind of part of.
It's a decent film. That.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, I quite liked it. It's kind of quite a good undercurrent. It probably spells quite a nice thing, or it's like an area that like only really an actor like Nicolas Cage can really go.
And he can get away with it.
And he gets away with it.
That's the thing, yeah.
But no, I thought it was. I think it's. I mean, it's 2002, right? So it was an interesting time for Hollywood anyway. Adaptation is a really difficult movie to actually adapt and probably get off the ground. And
can you imagine this film coming out at the cinema now? No chance.
Or this would be a rare one that would get a cinema run, but not for anything other than to quickly go to streaming. It would be an awards contender.
Yeah.
Or
did
something
well at the
Oscars.
Oscars.
Say. It did really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I like adaptation. I think it's good. I think it's a film about the writing process, which I think pleases Hollywood. You mentioned obviously about like good awards run and good recognition in that at the time.
Yeah, films that always look at the underlings of Hollywood about themselves. You always do very well.
Yeah, and it's really, I wouldn't say it's jarring. At the beginning of the film, there's loads of kind of additional scenes, or almost like cut scenes from Being John Malkovich, which was Charlie Kaufman's film before this. And it's kind of a bit jarring because it's almost like the behind the scenes stuff, because it's about Charlie Kaufman, it's about the writer. And so there's loads of like additional bits and pieces of like John Cusack and is it Kathleen Keener?
Yes.
Kathleen Keener's in it.
Catherine Keener.
And John Malkovich is
I
is in.
completely forgot Kaufman wrote John Malkovich.
Yeah.
That would be his intro to the mainstream.
Yeah. Yeah. And then the film that no one can pronounce, Cynic, New York.
Roger Ebert's like one of his favourite films.
Yeah.
But I wonder how Roger Ebert felt about The Matrix.
I think he probably felt very highly about The Matrix.
Quite possibly. If viewers or the listeners haven't heard of The Matrix, it was a semi-good film that basically...
Semi-good action movie.
Yeah, so basically wrapped up the 20th century filmmaking in a good way.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't think that there's been a more interesting or better science fiction Hollywood film since this that has rivaled this in terms of originality and incredible story, incredibly thought-provoking, and so much of it has stood the test of time. And yeah, I can't really think of science fiction being this compelling.
I think so.
Again,
I think,
as an original
I think
story.
the 2000s attempted it. I don't know why. My mind always goes to things like Minority Report, iRobot, stuff that tries to do something. And
I think they're all based on books.
clever.
I mean, a completely original idea.
Oh, okay.
Like in the realms of like Star Wars, which was a complete book before, nothing before it.
Yeah, it exists onto
This
itself.
was just basically an idea that the Wachowskis had, and it was the perfect time for it.
Yeah.
Like the stars aligned for this to work.
Yeah.
And they're just really, it just never really happens anymore because it's just too risky.
Yeah. There's a lot of stuff about The Matrix. The Matrix, obviously, as a standalone, it functions very much as a standalone. You can tell it was never
It was
like,
always
conceived.
just supposed to be a
Just supposed to be the
standalone.
one film. There's a lot of themes that have come about from this, and that's what has still prompts discussions around it. Do you think those themes were always part of the original Matrix, or do you think there's a lot of chat that actually the Wachowskis have gone, yeah, it can be what you want, and so thematically, all these kind of viewings of the film and what people take from it has evolved over time?
Yeah,
and
massively.
It kind of led to the more complicated. The more complicated parts of the sequels,
Yes.
because they were almost having to then try and crowbar in all of these the larger themes that people attributed to it.
I think it's very much like, I'm trying to think of the expression. I think very similar to the original Star Wars, where it just all worked out at the perfect time.
Yeah,
And I think the ideas that they had, they put them all into this film. And then I think because of the surprise success of it, I think the ideology of The Matrix almost just became too much.
yeah,
So I think because, I mean, what's like spirituality is very it's there in the Matrix film, the first one, but it's kind of sprinkled. Like it really is just basically good versus evil. It's just basically an incredibly brilliant idea of good versus evil. And even like thinking about the evil itself and like, is it really evil? Like it's just basically trying to survive.
yeah,
But I think going forward, I think they took the spiritual side of it and just ran with that, which is just very hard to make it compelling. And I just think it fell flat massively
yeah.
after the first one. Because I just think, it was just a one and done thing, I think. Because they haven't really made anything. I know people like V for Vendetta, but they've made nothing that's as good as The Matrix.
No, I don't think so.
But I mean, it's got possibly the best villain ever, like Agent Smith.
Do you know what I was thinking about this earlier on? It has to be the most original and intriguing villain since the Terminator.
Well, I would argue weirdly, it's almost like this from the same brain. Like you could almost imagine Skynet would create something because I mean, and the agents are just essentially like defense software, aren't they? They're just a program in the Matrix to keep order.
Yeah.
And the idea that this software has created a mind of its own and basically hates like the idea of its existence and wants to break free from it itself is so fascinating.
Yeah, I agree.
And again, I think Agent Smith, he's probably the one character that is interesting throughout because he becomes the thing he despises in the first film. He sees humanity as a virus that needs to be destroyed, and then he becomes a computer virus. So it's like this like ironic turn.
I don't
he's
think
the most
that-
human character.
I don't think that I think they do talk about that in the sequels, but I don't think they really understand the irony of that in what they built with that.
Well, this is what I mean. I don't think they really knew how to handle any kind of sequels,
yeah, definitely.
which is a massive shame.
Yeah,
And but as an idea of its time, it's aged amazingly well. Basically resurrected Keanu Reeves' career.
yeah.
Lawrence Fishburne.
Well, it
is
defined him. It gave him a
wonderful as
genre. It
Morpheus.
basically made. Well, I mean, I don't think it defined him, but like Keanu Reeves really had a niche after that point. I mean, it literally laid the foundation for all of John Wick. His stunt double was
Yes.
Stahelski.
Yes.
So, yeah, like it's nuts that essentially the John Wick franchise exists because of the Matrix as well.
Made the Magnum just like the best sounding pistol ever.
I mean, bullet time. The lobby scene is just
Oh
nuts.
my god, yeah.
Guns.
I'm
Lots of guns.
I'm never not moved at the end when he gets resurrected and then he just like bends the world to his will.
Yeah,
And
it's so
Agent Smith-
iconic. Like
Yeah.
it feels like there's so much of the Matrix that lives rent free in my head.
Mm.
You know, like you can recall scenes really easily. Everything about it, like it just kind of it is a movie. Like you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it is a movie.
Is it the most thought-provoking film ever made? Like it made people question reality to such a level. Because again, this is the late 90s where like computer hacking and computers were still relatively in their infancy.
Yeah,
And
people were afraid of it.
And people were just like, it's a film that ages incredibly well because AI is essentially the villain. Well, again, it's not. I have a more interesting thing where I think the humans are the villains because Morpheus' line of like we marveled at our brilliance as we gave birth to AI, and that literally could not be more prevalent in 2025. And I wish they just probably had a breather.
Yeah.
And then really
What did you think of the
what
reboot?
next.
What did you think of Resurrection?
Hated it.
Wasn't great, was it?
No. Talking about meta,
Yeah.
that's like that is the worst example of meta
Yeah.
ever.
Yeah.
Just nonsense. Although saying that, the story behind it, if you've read up the story of why that film was made, it does sort of make sense.
I think, yeah, but that's the problem. That is
Yeah.
a problem unto itself.
Yeah, because it was only one of the Wachowskis,
And
Is it Warner
basically
Brothers
Warner
said-
Brothers says either you don't do it or somebody else will.
yeah, and she just basically the film is like a middle finger.
Yeah.
But I
And
don't.
she went, "Sod it,
I
I'll
don't
just make
like
a really
that,
bad Matrix film then."
I don't like that. I don't like that you're just basically like using your ego to basically like crap on your iconic work
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah. I like the whole idea of that. There's a Frankenstein's monster thing about it though.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's a bit like, well, nah, it's not great. But yeah, I
Yes.
suppose the last one.
Are we on the last one?
Yeah, Saving Private Ryan.
Oh my god.
Is this Steven Spielberg's best film?
No. I wouldn't put it in the top 3. But I love it. No, my top 3 Spielberg films are Jaws, Schindler's List, and Jurassic Park. This would probably be 4.
I really like Catch Me If You Can.
Well, I've had this debate with many people, and I think that was his last really, really.
Yeah, it
sort
was.
of-
Everything else after
Not
that.
that the things he made after wasn't great, but I don't think it sort of like captured the public's imagination quite like Catch Me If You Can.
Yeah.
Because obviously West Side Story did very well, and The Fabelmans did well, but I don't think
Fabelmans didn't do well at all.
I d-
Like, well,
no,
critically it
as
did well.
Yeah, as a
If
review.
it's a film about film, it will do well.
Yeah. But no, I think
But he did War Horse as well. War Horse was a big hit for him.
I don't think it was critically loved. The play is amazing. If you haven't seen War Horse, watch the stage play. It's amazing.
And what
But,
else he did? He wasn't, like you say, critically, it doesn't really hit it, but Ready Player One, you got War of the Worlds in there, Minority Report's in there.
Ready Player One might be my least favourite films. That is, I'll
did
tell you
not
what,
like that.
that's my least favourite Spielberg film, probably by a country mile.
It almost felt like we were
it's
just talking about
another meta film.
what Wachowski did to Matrix like Resurrection.
Yeah,
It kind of feels like that, but not purposeful. It kind of feels like Spielberg was he was the only person to get all of that IP on one screen. Like if you think like in terms of actually managing that project and getting those franchises on screen at the same time, that's an impossible task. Like he is the only film director that could have done that. Like, and I stand by that. But I think my problem with Ready Player One is the core of it, where it's just kind of like this is like the definition of nostalgia bait. Like it's designed, isn't it, to just get you to look back and say, "Oh, what I used when I was a kid. Oh, look, it's Sonic and Mario on the same screen."
I think Spielberg probably found the idea of virtual gaming and the sort of virtual reality as an interesting premise to go down for a film, but the execution is just so mind-numbingly headache-inducing, and I hated it. And it has the Iron Giant in it, and you know how much I love the Iron Giant. But
I actually quite like the stuff that they did with like the recreation of The Shining. I thought was great.
I just don't find that interesting.
I thought that was really kind of quiet because you know the relationship that he had with
Kubrick.
With Kubrick. Like I do think it's an interesting homage.
Yeah.
Again, only Spielberg could have done that. Anybody else, it would have come off quite kitsch.
But anyway, talking about
Saving Private Ryan. We digress.
Is this? I don't know. There's so many things you could say about it. Has it got the best opening to a film?
Has it got the best cast?
Has it got the best cast? Has it got the best depictions of World War II? Has it got the best ending?
Has it got one of the most emotional scenes of all time? Tom Hanks.
Which one?
Tom Hanks.
Which Tom Hanks scene?
His tears.
Yes.
I think that's one of the most.
It's probably one of
scenes.
the best.
I'm trying to say things for anyone who hasn't seen Saving Private Ryan. But if you were alive between 2020, like 2000 and 2010, and you were in the UK and you had access to Channel 5, there was no way you weren't going to miss Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately that for me is what has diluted this film.
Interesting.
I think I've seen too much of it in small bursts that it doesn't necessarily have as much impact now as I perhaps have for other films.
That's interesting. I don't think I've really done that. I think when I watch this, it's always like it's a proper like you're glued.
See, that's the problem. I've been so piecemeal with it over my lifetime.
Okay.
And this is probably then more of a problem for me. Well, it is more my problem than it is a problem with the film. But I think where I saw so much of it in those short chunks between, there's nothing else on this. Put Channel 5 on because probably it's got Saving Private Ryan on it, and it did. That it just ended up just becoming something that then became background noise. And I think that diluted, some of the impact for it for me over time. That I don't run back to watching Saving Private Ryan.
Well, I always try and think of the time it came out, and no war film had come close to this.
I mean, it was one of the most expensive films ever made when it came out.
Like the Normandy landings and the level of bloodshed and like horror that you actually see in what soldiers go through, and like essentially like they're just cannon fodder on D-Day, and trying to wrap your head around how it sort of like came to this. And I don't think everyone obviously knows that about war films, but they'd never really saw it to that graphic degree. And I don't think we've really seen it that much since. The only film I can think of that went to this level of like brutality was probably Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah. Fury's pretty violent.
Yeah, but you see so much like limbs and like soldiers basically like crying to their mums, and that just like that level of like realism.
Yeah.
And
that opening scene I think cost 11 million.
Really? God. But yeah, no, there's been few films like it. And it's definitely
the scale of it. I mean, there's not a lot of war films that would get that much money, attention, design. Again, we spoke about it before, but this is a film.
Yes,
like to watch this is an experience, and it paid dividends for Spielberg, and it made a hell of a lot of money.
Tom Hanks is wonderful.
Everyone is. Everyone is.
Yeah,
it's such a good cast.
It's kind of Matt Damon's. It's his second big film, obviously, after Good Will Hunting.
It was his second big film, and he was cast because no one knew him, and they wanted like an
Yes.
unknown American made kind of star, and then he won an Oscar. Like
Yeah.
6 months before it came out, and Spielberg went, "Are you joking?" Because overnight he became like a world sensation that everyone knew his face.
Yeah.
But he was originally cast to be like kind of a bit of an unknown.
Yeah. Yeah. But no, yeah, it just, yeah, I mean, just there's so many moments in the film. I mean, the scene where Chandler Bing's roommate from like season 4 of Friends, when that knife goes through him, I actually genuinely can't watch that scene to this day. It's too uncomfortable, and it's yeah, and it's the added with the German they actually let go, who does that. You're just like horrible, but yeah, it's an absolutely amazing film. But it's got an interesting legacy. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like the ending, but I think that's very realistic, where he's basically like reflecting on the life that he has because these people sacrificed themselves for him. And yeah, it's just a simple question like, did I have a good life after everything that happened to me? A lot of people find that quite corny. I think that's just like realistic, particularly when you're an old man and all you have left is basically your memories. And that generation, obviously, when you're young during a world war, it sort of like adds to that. So yeah, I would rate again, this is like, it's not my favorite Spielberg film, but it's probably the most ambitious, and he hasn't really done anything this compelling since. Possibly.
So speaking of ranking,
Yeah,
let's rank these bad boys.
let's rank them.
Yeah, right. I think without a shadow of a doubt, number 7, we got to have Paranormal Activity 2.
I think Saving Private Ryan is a contender for
bottom.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
No, I think okay, yeah. I mean, this is bottom. I don't think it's that bad. I mean, it didn't really stand much of a chance. Jesus Christ, this list is like...
I was going to say, yeah, that's, I mean...
it's not a bad film, but it's not particularly good.
Yeah.
And compared to like The Matrix and Adaptation and Saving Private Ryan, it probably doesn't stand a chance.
Exactly. If this was Paranormal Activity 1, I would say it probably has that would have a stronger fight against some of the weaker ones in this list.
Yes.
But I think the sequel, I just think it's not as great.
The next film I would have on this list is probably Knives Out.
I would agree.
Really?
Yep.
Interesting.
I would agree. Yep.
Because I have problems with Us, but I think it's ambitious and I like the ideas.
Yeah.
The execution is a bit hit and miss.
Yeah.
But I think the story of Knives Out is bland, and again the comedy just sort of falls flat. But I think Us is more interesting.
See, that's the thing. I would disagree with all of those points, but I still place it in the same place because I actually feel the same way about the other films on this list. I think Us. There's no point hiding it. I think I would put Us next on the list, above Knives Out.
I'm the same.
Because it is ambitious, but I also think things like there's not a performance in Knives Out for me that overshadows Lupita Nyong'o. I think Winston Duke is a really good addition to the cast as well. I think the third act is a little bit all over the place, but I think the rest of it is solid enough that it makes you uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It does
really
a very good
interesting
job
to watch.
Of build everything you want from a horror, building tension, building questions.
And visually, it is
visually great.
We didn't speak about this, but visually, Us is amazing.
Yeah,
like it's so vibrant. The colours on screen, like that Thriller T-shirt that the kids wearing at the beginning and stuff, with the reds are really popping on it and stuff. And you're just like, Us is a great film.
No, Us is I'd put Us definitely over Knives Out.
Right, so Paranormal Activity 2, Knives Out, Us.
Ooh.
I am probably going to say The Crow.
I agree, but it's very close between The Crow and Adaptation. Even though they couldn't be more different.
Yeah. Do you know what? I think I'm going to be controversial here.
So are we on to number 2?
Yeah, well, I think we've just said about like having The Crow and then Adaptation, and then the more and more I look at it, they do very, very different things. But I would rewatch The Crow.
Okay.
As much as I really enjoyed going back to Adaptation, and I really enjoyed the premise, I laughed. It was fun.
Yeah, but as
I didn't do any of those things with The Crow. But it's such a time capsule. It's like, you don't make films like that anymore. Like, they literally don't. They even tried to recreate it. They couldn't.
Yeah, that was weird.
So it's like, oh. No, okay. No, let's stick with what we said originally. The Crow, and then I think adaptation. Because I do think as films go, adaptation is a more interesting film.
Yes, and I do think The Crow. I do think the film as itself is very good.
Yeah.
But it does have that extra sort of tragedy to it. But I think as a film, particularly with the first time viewing,
I don't think the tragedy necessarily skews the way I think about the film.
No, that's what I mean.
But I think I think it's a good place to actually have it, I think. So then we've got adaptation. So Charlie Kaufman takes the third spot.
My God.
I think then at 2, I think I'm going to go for Saving Private Ryan.
Me too.
Is that controversial?
I don't think it is. I think I mean, if you're going to rank both of these films, they are literally in the top of the 90s. They kind of defined their genre.
Yeah. I mean, they could literally came out within a year of each other.
But I think the Matrix just has so much gravitas to it, and I think I don't everything I say glowingly about the Matrix is not really a detriment to Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah,
I'm just saying it's sort of you have more. You know, you're talking about rent free.
Yeah,
you have more of that in the Matrix.
So much more.
Where Saving Private Ryan is like an incredible marvel of like ambition and Spielberg going like out of his way.
Spielberg knowing his platform and making sure that platform was used to good.
Yeah.
To tell a story that was very much needed to be told. To put something to screen that hadn't been done before. Whereas The Matrix is just an extraordinary look at the world.
Yeah. It's basically like, I mean, war films have been around since the beginning of cinema.
Yeah.
I mean, All Quiet on the Western Front, I think, came out in 1930. This is like the best example of that kind of genre.
Yeah.
Just the brutality of war and just like the horrors and what people have to go through.
Yeah.
Where I think The Matrix...
It transcends the genre, which actually I think was what we said on the last podcast.
What, Saving Private Ryan? Or...
that I think The Matrix transcends the sci-fi genre.
Well, I think it creates its own kind of genre.
Yeah.
It takes what you can do with science fiction and sort of... Because the thing about The Matrix, it still feels so modern.
Yeah.
And all the characters still... The issues that they go through are very relatable to today.
It unbelievably holds up. Even like the way it's shot. I mean, we were talking about how like certain films are shot and how amazing like Us looks. The Matrix still looks pretty good.
Yeah.
For 99, that's not bad.
Yeah.
Bullet Time still looks phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so...
And again, Saving Private Ryan has also...
nuts. Like,
has also aged very well. I mean, there's still no war film that can really...
Nothing come
anywhere near it.
No. In fact, almost to the point where a lot of war films now have turned into a bit of a pastiche.
Yeah.
Like, they are now... Like, you've got more things like... is it Sisu? Which is basically a John Wick clone.
Yeah.
And stuff like that. So... You know, it's headed in that direction anyway. So nothing seems to have the gravitas of something like Saving Private Ryan. But I don't think anything was as fundamentally groundbreaking as The Matrix.
Yeah.
So I think...
And it's created so many rip-offs.
So many rip-offs.
Yeah.
And that's what we love about it.
We do.
We all love X versus Sever.
Yes.
And all of those fantastic
that's the thing.
movies.
The film is so good, it completely covers... Keanu Reeves's very plastic acting.
That I definitely cannot disagree with. But I do love Keanu. So
yes.
Yeah.
Well, but his character is great, but yeah.
Yeah. Right, so that's it. That's kind of our list for the week. At 7, we've got Paranormal Activity 2. At 6, Knives Out. At 5, we've got Us. At 4, we've got The Crow. 3, Adaptation. 2, Saving Private Ryan. And at 1, we have The Matrix.
The Matrix.
The Matrix. So,
I think that's fair.
I think that's more than
I think
fair.
that's fair.
Absolutely.
I'm glad Knives Out finished sixth.
Could have been worse. Could have been Grease. Could have been Grease.
Oh God, yeah.
Anyway, guys, thank you for taking part in the latest episode of Such a Ranker. How do you rate our list? Do you agree with this? Do you disagree? Do you think that The Matrix should be top? Do you think Saving Private Ryan should take its place? You let us know in the comments below. Otherwise, take care, and we'll see you again soon.
Thank you. See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.